Okay, we are recording. There's Hashem. So as we said, the Tachlis, we're holding the Likutey Moharan Torah 49. This is when the Malchus, which is the lowest Madrega, goes up, ascends all the way up to the Bina. Then something very special happens. We said the Malchus has dinam in it. The Malchus never, I'm talking about the sphere of the Malchus when it is in its purest form. That's the level that gives down, the treatment that the Kadosh Baruch Hu treats the world with. So you have the Kadosh Baruch Hu starts, when the Kesher, it goes to Chochmah and Bina, and it goes to Chesed and Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Chod, Yesod, and ultimately it goes to a sphere which is called Malchus, and that Malchus is the Shechina. Okay? Probably the 10 spheres on that level is the level of now from the Malchus, from the Shechina, that according to the way that the people behave, this is what it gives out. Malchus has the ability of giving over dinim of a klal, dina de malchus dina. Any kind of authority has to have the ability to enforce its policies. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. It's not a malchus. Hold on, I'm trying to fix here something. Unable to. Hold on just a minute. Okay. But what happens is that if the Malchus, if the people behave well, the Malchus also has the ability to bestow bracha, to bestow goodness. The Malchus is the Hotzah Lapoal, as it were, of the heavenly mechanism. That's the ultimate interface between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and us. That's the Shekhinah.
What?
That's the Shekhinah.
Shekhinah is the Malchus?
Yes. If we behave well, we get bracha. If we sort of not behave that well, then what we get is dinim. Now, last week we actually spent a rather large, a long time. By White, if you can please mute your microphone, that would be helpful.
Yes.
Yes. So, the ability to constrict, to divide, starts with the Bina. You can't understand the Chochmah without the ability to make sense out of the Chochmah. And in order to make sense from the Chochmah, you need to be able to categorize, to understand why things are here this way and why things are here that way. You have to be able to say, okay, this is what the differences are. Over here, it's like this, but over here, it's like that, okay? So now, this ability to analyze, to differentiate, is essentially the ability to constrict. It's not the whole thing, one mumble jumble, but this is this and this is that. This is when the dinim, the judgments, are in their purest, kindest form. They're not used to punish. They're used to understand. They're used to comprehend. When the dinim, when the judgments are in the malchus, it's just a police force. It carries clubs and guns and it goes out, and this is what it does. This is when those really fine analytical tools of the Bina, when they get down, the ability to say, okay, up to here, no more. When it gets down to the Malchus, up to here, no more, means if you go over the line, I'm going to hit you over the head. Now, what happens is that the Malchus, when you elevate the Malchus, as we said, where you control your thoughts, you hold off on too much excitement, and you make sure that you push off bad thoughts from your head and you think good thoughts. And when you do that, you have good thoughts, then you do good deeds, because nobody does good deeds without having good thoughts first. Same way as nobody does bad things unless he has bad thoughts first. So it starts in the thought process. And when you actually bring it down l'maisa and you're doing good deeds, what you're doing is you reveal the malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. Suddenly, people see, what is this guy doing with this boxes on his head? What's this? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to do that. Oh, wow. So he's listening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He is subjecting himself to the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a melech. That's called that you reveal the Malchus of Hashem. When you reveal the Malchus of Hashem, it's not just an empty gesture. Okay, here everybody knows that Baruch is a melech. It's alive. Whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you think, whatever it is that you say, whatever it is, all these things are alive. They change things. They change reality. you reveal the Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu by your deeds, it does two things. First of all, it reveals the Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu for you. Meaning the Kadosh Baruch Hu becomes a part of your life. You know, when Uri Zohar Zichrono Livracha, once he became from, he really got in. So, you know, he spoke to secular audience, and one of the times he spoke to them, he said, are you going to ever come back? Are you going to let go of Yiddishkeit? And he said, no way. So I said, how about if we give you $1 million? Will you do it? So he started laughing. He says, you don't get it, do you? He said, if you were to offer me $1 million not to put on film for one day, I will laugh at your face. For one day. Not don't put on film, just for one day. You know how many pairs of film you'll be able to buy for $1 million? How many mitzvahs you'll be able to give to other people, whatever it is. One day, I'll laugh at your face. Shabbos, forget it. Forget about it. I don't care if you give me $1 billion. Nothing doing. Absolutely nothing doing. No, he just told them it's like it's a joke. The whole thing. Once your deeds elevated the Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it makes the reality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu so real for you that it's not even shaykh for anybody to entice you with money or with this or with that, to give it up. It's ridiculous. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is real for you. Shabbos is real for you. Film is real for you. That's called the Malchus is ascending, is going up. It becomes evident to you. But that's what happens to you personally. But something more happens. Globally, on the macro level, the Malchus connects with the Bina. The Malchus in itself is a rather aggressive entity. It's Otzalapo, has the ability to enforce the judgments of the Malchus are ready to met out justice. Justice system includes jail, includes handcuffs, includes solitary confinement. It goes all of very, very unpleasant things. The justice system has to have that. When the Malchus ascends and connects with the Bina, all the tools in the hands, the tools of the Malchus, the enforcing tools of the Malchus, they become sweetened by the original dinim in the Bina. In other words, it's not just a brutal police force. It becomes a keli to be moitzel Paul, the very noble understanding of the Bina, the dinim, the edel dinim of the Bina that are meant to elevate you. When you're doing that, you're changing the picture of everybody. The entire world is changing when you do this. That's what you should know. Just not. Anyhow, let me give you an example. Okay, the father has a midas, a malchus over his children. If the father, he can hit his children, he can punish them, he can sanction them, he can scream at them. He has various tools in his hands to overpower his children up to a certain age, obviously. If that ability is not subject of his bina, what is the bina? The bina for a person is understanding, I was given these tools, my malchus, my authority over my children was given to me in order for me to educate my children, to help them become the best that they can be. So there are certain tools I will never use, certain tools that I will use only very judgmentally, I will be very careful with that. So the judgments of my authority over my children becomes sweetened, becomes softened, becomes corrected, becomes under the guidance and control of my bina, of my understanding. I must educate my children. I must discipline them. But I have to do it in what we call in a sweet way. The dinim of the bina are sweetened. In a sweet way, they will be productive. It won't be just a way for me to, to unload, my frustration and anger on them, because I happen to have had a lousy day. But it's a tool in a much higher faculty by me. My malchus is subjected to my bina. Suddenly the malchus becomes the most blessed tool there is. Without being able to police my children, I can't educate them. They'll be, children need to have boundaries. My malchus is the ability to put boundaries for my children. But unless it's subjected, it's connected to my bina, it's just cruelty, it's just brutality. It only push them off. But when it's connected to the bina, when it's subservient, to the dinim of the bina says, listen, it's good for a child to do this. It's not good for a child to do that. My child shouldn't have ice cream every single day or candies every single day. It's not good for him. That's a judgment of the bina. It's a judgment. Don't give him ice cream every day. Don't give him candy every day. Don't let him, watch movies until 2:00 in the morning. All these are dinim, or these are judgments, it's constrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't eat candy every day, you can watch movies until 2:00 in the morning. All these things are judgments, but these are constructive judgments. They're called sweetened judgments. These are judgments in the level of the bina. When you elevate the malchus through good thoughts, and it connects with the bina, your entire reality, all your dinim, all your judgments become sweetened in the dina. This is what we have explained last week. So we also said that the Rebbe brings another dugma. The Asira Sa'efa is the mincha. The mincha of a poor person, that the person does not have enough money to bring an animal or even to bring birds. So for chatas, what he has to bring is to bring the 10th of a quantity of ephah of Sa'irim, that's like the lowest of the lows. Because the poorest of the poor. Vasiris Eifo, the 10th of the Eifo. The Eifo, the word Eifo is Aleph, Yud, Fei, Hey. It alludes to A, Fe, which is the Malchus. Where is the A? Where is the Fe? This is the Malchus. The Malchus is called Pe. We say that Malchus Pe Karinama. In Pesach Eliyahu, we're saying that the sphere of Malchus is called the mouth, because the basic idea, the Chochmah Bina, whatever it is, by me, are the thought. Before, you and I spoke, and we analyzed the 10 spheres as they take place between you and me. Okay? But there's also a case of the 10 sefirot as they take place just within me, even before I speak to you. In my mind, my chochmah bina das, it's my own mind, okay? And then it comes from my lungs. My lungs produce the hot air. It's a wet and hot air that comes from the lungs. So you have fire and water. Fire and water is chesed and gvura. They come through the six rings of the neck that produce the voice. That's the six riyot from chesed to yesod. And it ends up in my mouth. My mouth is the thing that formulates my thoughts into words. My own personal malchus is my mouth. Because this is when the inside of my mind finds an expression outside. Malchus is always the outer level of them all. Okay. So Eifo, where is the mouth? We Efa Pe. Asirsa Eifo is a Pe. Where is the Pe? Where is the mouth? Where's the Malchus? Malchus Pe. That's Kvod Elokim. Melech HaKovod. We're going through things that are quite sophisticated when you're not well versed in the different kind of expressions of this field. Before we explain, okay, what does Malchus mean? Malchus means the receiver. Explain here, goes through me. I want to tell you, I tell you the way that you can understand it. Whatever it is, you are the Malchus, you are the receiver. I just explained how the same kind of expression happens just within me before I even speak. My mouth is my own Malchus. But there is the basic principle of the Malchus is it is always the most outer expression of any situation. When in my own mind, I understand something and I explain it, the way to explain it is my mouth. That's the outside expression. So the mouth is Malchus, okay? What happens when a general steps into the room? How do you know that he's a general and that he's not just a sergeant or a private even? How do you know? Oh, okay. Right. His dress, right? The way he's dressed tells you what he is. You see that the more cover the person has, the fancier his dress is. If you ever see the coronation of a king, or in the jubilee, or that, the occasion, whatever it is, that you see that is why doesn't that just come Queen of England? Why don't you just come dressed? I don't know, in England, I don't know, just come with a house coat. Just come on, with your slippers. Sit down and so you're the Queen. Everybody knows you're Queen of England. No, but when she's sitting with Queen of England, did you see how many garments she's wearing? Besides the dress and the this and the that and whatever it is, and there's an ermine coat and what there's in the crown, the whole shebang. She's like, what's happening? It's so heavy, it's uncomfortable, it's so hot. Why? The more garments, the more covered. So the garments are a euphemism for covered, right? The garments are the euphemism for malchus. How do you know if it's a general? How do you know it's the Queen of England? They're dressed like them, right? So the Moharan says in the Gemara, called the clothing the covered. They covered the person. And in fact, you can see that the less covered people have, the less dressed they are. And you said Bnei Cham, they're going around chasufei sef, they're naked. They're the lowest of the low. The more mechubadik a person is, the more dressed he is. So we have here the malchus, an expression of the malchus of A as a mouth, right? We also said that the expression of the malchus is covered. Why is covered an expression of malchus? Because covered is not part of me. It's not part of my body. It's something from the outside. This is my covered. It's not a pleasure that my body gets. It's not that it comes from the outside. If my clothing are malchus, covered is even more outside. And we see that they are both coming at the same time. Clothing and covered are coming joined at the hips. The more covered, the more clothing. Fancier the clothing. So you have three expressions of malchus: mouth, clothing, and covered. Okay? So then it says, Eifo, where's the mouth? Where's the malchus? Malchus peh. B'bchinas kvod Elokim. It's a godly honor, a godly covered. Melech HaKovod. Melech HaKovod. We already have here, the Melech is connected to covered. Kvod Elokim. Kadis likas, when the malchus goes up, when it ascends to the bina, malachaya shalom megine. The malachim are asking, because this is the Zohar says, the malachim says, because of the bina. Eifeh, where is the mouth? Eifo. I am a kom kavoid. The malachim says, where is the cover of the Kodesh Baruch? In other words, they are asking, where is the mouth that's called covered? It's no longer in the place where it used to be because it already went up to the sphere Sabina. It's elevated through you. We're working on pushing off bad thoughts, putting on good thoughts. A serious ha'efa, that's the yud, that's the kedusha. We said already before, this chokhmah is the yud, that's the kedusha. You have to connect the malchus to the chokhmah, and this is being done very simply when a person is adamant of thinking holy thoughts. He's thinking holy thoughts. He's up to good deeds. And with this, he coronates a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Hainu. Therefore, it means, when you want to pull in Kedusha into the Malchus, when you want to put Bina into your authority over your children or whatever it is, so beginning, to elevate the malchus of the Efer, that my malchus, my authority, will only be the expression of my comprehension, of my intelligence, of my understanding of what I'm supposed to do. It says, it says that's the continuation of the pasuk. This is all very, very deep. B'derech haremes, that Rabbeinu explained the whole principle again in this particular pasuk. So you have to connect both houses. Malchus is the lower house, Bina is the upper house, as we said before. Beis Eloah, the upper house, is the Bina. It's called Solas L'Mincha. It's a melina to be brought to the Mincha. Mincha is Dinim. How do we know Minchas Dinim? Yitzchak was Mesaken, Tfilas HaMincha. Yitzchak is Gvura. He created the Tfilas HaMincha. This is where the Din. Solis, Mishon Salisa Kol HaShogim Chogecha. In other words, you have enforced all those who break away from your laws. The upper base of the Bino breaks down all the dinim. Obviously, we're talking here about very, very deep concept. We need to understand throughout the day, every day, ends by mincha. It is no longer there. The new day is by Ma'ariv, right? Then the whole night passes. A very special process taking place from Chatzos until the full fruition comes on Shacharis. And then this is when you're putting in your tefillin, this is when you daven, whatever it is. Then you go to work. The only thing which is left is an imprint of that meridical light that you receive on Shacharis. And then, as the day progresses, we're getting closer and closer to the next day. Just before the next day comes, that's the time of Mincha. Rabbi Nosson says in Hilchos Tfilas HaMincha, about this term, that the Mincha is the most crucial time. That's the hardest time. When it's dark, you already know it's dark. Beseder, you close your eyes, you go with the moon. When the beginning of the dinim, the day is over. Whatever you did today is over. You have to start a brand new day. Yesterday was such a good day. Suddenly, the day next tomorrow, yesterday, today was a horrible day. What seemed to me like a hard day. I already saw that things were getting better. Suddenly, I see that things are getting worse. Because it's a different day. It's a different tikkun. When the day comes to a close, the day comes to the close during the mincha. during the tefillah of Mincha. That's why the korban tamid of Mincha was brought at the latest time possible. There was no other offering that was later than the Mincha. But nevertheless, this is when you bring it to the Mincha, to the Bina. This is when you're bringing all your authority, all your capability to enforce your opinion, to enforce, whatever it is you're bringing to the Bina. And the Bina sweetens it. And it breaks the Dina. B'ezrat Hashem, we will continue to explain this, go over it and explain this the next time, being that it's a very fine and profound inyanim. So to put it all in one shot will likely to make things a bit difficult to process. So we will stop here.